challenges I had to face. Like when I worked to get ahead and still fall behind, I started to wonder if I was meant to win the race. Striving to do things right. And when things go wrong, tempted to die. This time I will be still. This time I will be still. Thankfully, it's hard for me to keep feeling this way when I consider who is on my side. And Lord, it's my help walking with me every step I need to take on the desperate days when the wrong does. Oh, thank you, Father. When I remember, it brings me peace. This time, I will be still. This time, I will be still. And the mountain has to move. Mountain must obey. Words that I speak. Because I've got a work to do, and I'm gonna see it through. God showed me the way, and I'm choosing it today. The mountain has to move, the mountain must obey the words that I speak. Bow down to my faith. Because I've got work to do, and I'm gonna see it through. God showed me the way, and I'm choosing it today. I have decided this time no mountain can stop me. This time I'm focused and resolute. My help is coming, my help is here in you. Lord is my help. Lord is my help. Good morning, everybody. Grab your contractor's notebook, your favorite beverage. We have some things to talk about this morning. Join the live, share the live, tag your business partner. We have some things to talk about this morning. Get the likes up over here on TikTok. You know how TikTok works. In order to keep the live going without me having to verify, we have to keep the likes up and going. Do me a favor. I don't ask for gifts. I appreciate them if you do give them, but I don't ask for gifts. But I do ask that you like the live, share the live out into the algorithm. So, and welcome to Contracting Chatter, where we discuss all things business, all things government contracting. I am your host, Luciana Turner. And let me tell you, this morning, we're going to talk about something very interesting. I had a different subject for this morning, and we're probably going to hit it a little bit, but we're going to talk about a few other things. First, VP Kamala Harris did receive her endorsement
from the Obamas this weekend that was announced. I still haven't seen an official platform for her. So if anybody sees it, receive it, if you can forward it to me so I can analyze it like I have everybody else's and get back to you with what I believe her administration is going to look like from a business perspective, I would appreciate it because I still haven't seen an official Kamala Harris presidential platform. I've seen news briefings, I've seen talks she's done, but not an official written platform. With that said, President Biden has released his set of Supreme Court reform. And let me read them off, and then we're going to talk about it from a historical aspect of how the founding fathers set up our government and why I think from that perspective, his reforms, he shouldn't have done this. His reforms are as follows: term limits for justices, more binding ethics code. He's calling for a constitutional amendment declaring that presidents do not have immunity from criminal prosecutions for crimes committed while in office. I'm going to say this: just because you don't like something doesn't make it wrong. With that said, I'm going to start with the last and work up. This is because the Supreme Court ruled that Donald Trump has qualified immunity with regards to the so-called documents that he had in his Mar-a-Lago estate. And the Supreme Court ruled that the president has qualified immunity. I really wish they did not stop teaching government in high school. And somebody's going to say, well, they do teach government. They used to teach advanced government in high school. Good morning, Kiki. Because advanced government would wipe out this conversation. The president has qualified immunity. 1, 2, the president is the one who declares documents classified. The president is also the one who declassifies documents. So let's just say, for giggles, this passes. Then that means they have to prosecute Biden because he had classified documents in his garage. They would have to prosecute Hillary Clinton because she had classified documents on a unclassified server. You get where I'm going? We need to stop playing politics with stuff and understand how our government is set up and understand the circumstances of some things. And even Kamala Harris said the reason some things aren't done is because you would have to prosecute a sitting president. And presidents don't have blanket immunity, which is why they were going after Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was just smart enough to resign. So his proposal is mute with that one. Presidents don't have blanket immunity. They have qualified immunity for certain actions. And the action they was trying to go after Trump for falls under that. They don't have immunity from crimes. He didn't commit a crime. And if you want to criminalize what he did, we would have to prosecute Biden because Biden was guilty of the exact same thing. And if you look up what the Justice Department said, the Justice Department said the same thing. You have to take out politics. You have to stop saying I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican and just look at the facts the way it's laid out. Now to the other part, the term limits on the Supreme Court. If you go back to the Founding Fathers, the reason the Founding Fathers did not want term limits on the Supreme Court is because they wanted continuity. They also did not want the Supreme Court swayed by the sitting president. They wanted them autonomous, independent, and they did not want them swayed by anything that's going on. And you saw that when you see two of the justices that was appointed by Trump who went against Trump. When you look at the ruling, you had justices who were not appointed by Trump who did this. I just really wish people would learn some history, one, and two, get out of their political feelings and apply some logic. That proposal is garbage. It would destabilize the three-pronged checks and balances, and it's not needed. We don't need term limits. The Supreme Court functions fine. The fact that you don't like something doesn't make it wrong. It just means you don't like it. That's it. That's all. I think Biden is just trying to do some smoke and mirrors in his last 6 months of office to deflect. I need y'all to go look at history, why the Supreme Court was set up the way it is. The Supreme Court was set up to have lifetime membership to keep continuity. And then I'm going to go here. If you do this election every whatever years, who's going to sit on the Supreme Court? And how does term limits keep corruption out? Y'all not even thinking about this. You're so I don't like Trump. You're not following the logic. And who on the court helped Trump fix it? Because I'm gonna go here. If you want to say he violated the law, you have to prosecute Biden. Because Biden did the exact same thing. Biden had classified documents in his garage. And that is a known fact. Go check the Department of Justice. And I grew up in Delaware with Biden. I grew up in Delaware, so I've known President Biden for a very long time. You have to get off of the Democrat-Republican thing and just apply logic to the situation. Stop it. You would have to prosecute Hillary Clinton for that unclassified server that she had. Do you really want to open the floodgates? We can prosecute sitting presidents for crimes, which is how we prosecuted Nixon. It's just that Nixon resigned. That's where Watergate came from. People don't know history. We can already prosecute a sitting president for crimes. President Trump did not commit a crime. You just don't like him. So anything he does to you is a crime. The fact the man breathes is a crime. Even Kamala Harris said in a statement, if you pursue this, then we would actually have to prosecute a sitting president. Who you think she's talking about? I really want y'all to think about that thing. That's just a waste of time. We need stability in our government. We need checks and balances. Each part of the government checks each other. The Congress checks the president checks Congress. The Supreme Court checks Congress and the president. Everybody checks each other. Period. In the discussion. That's a waste of time. Moving on. And that's the sad thing about the state of politics in our country. We have politicized everything to the point that logic and reason has gone out the window. We have forgotten about real issues and the facts, and we have let partisan nonsense take over. We need to come back to the middle. We have to let politics come back to the middle. And I'm gonna go here. Um, the ruling was not 7-1, 7-2, or 9-2. He only appointed 2 justices. So your logic don't logic. You have to make it make sense. Moving on. What I wanted to talk about this morning. Let me go back and restate this point. Kamala Harris, VP Kamala Harris, has finally obtained the of the Obama's green light. I still have not seen an official, this is what her platform is. If anybody have seen one, if you can forward it to me, I would appreciate it so that I can analyze it and do this is what her presidency would look like from a business perspective. The DNC is coming up in a couple of weeks. We are less than 100 days away from the election. So I'm covering the DNC just like I covered the RNC. I was sick for most of the RNCs. I really didn't cover it. Hopefully I'll be well enough to cover the DNC. And what I do on this platform, I cover things from the business perspective, not political. We have enough political pundits. I cover it from a business perspective. I look at what they're saying and we follow the dollars. Historically, Democrats spend on social programs. Republicans tend to spend on defense. Historically, that's what they tend to do. So you can look at their platform of what they're saying their agenda is, and their agenda typically mirrors the spending during their presidency, which is why I want to see what her official platform or official agenda for her presidency is. Because you can pretty much tell what her FY 2026 budget is going to look like based upon her platform. And I wasn't on the Zoom call, so I don't know what was said on the Zoom call. I have not seen an official platform. So if anybody sees one, if you can forward it to me, I would appreciate it so I can perform that analysis. So to the business of it all. We are halfway through low-hanging fruit season. Now, at the beginning of low-hanging fruit season, I held something called Contracting and Business Week. And we talked about creating a contracting plan. We talked about strategic partnering. We talked about compliance plan. We talked about the activities a new contractor needs to take during the season and what the seasoned contractor should take during the season. We talked about all of that. Since we're halfway through the quarter, I want to do a check-in. How are you doing? Are your activities bearing fruit in the fruit season? Are you harvesting or are you planting? And I'm asking that question because you need to understand what season you're in. If you know any farmers, you know that there's different types of fruits and vegetables. There are winter crops and there are summer crops. Winter crops are planted during the summer and harvested during the winter. Then there are crops that are harvested, planted during the spring and harvested during the summer. Quite simple. I'm asking you, Do you know which season you're in? Have you planted your crops or are you harvesting your crops? You have to understand the season you're in order to know what crops you're planting or if you should be harvesting or if you're allowing your crops to rot in the fields. Now, if you should be harvesting and you let them sit in the field too long, then it's too late. You need to plow it under, turn the soil, and plant again. Now, somebody's saying, what is she talking about? Simply put, there is optimal harvesting. And if you miss that window, the crops have stayed in the soil too long. And anything you pull out is overripe. That means you have to act fast, use it fast, and if you don't, it's there no good. Farmers use the overripe crops as fertilizer for the next harvest. That's what I mean. You have to till the soil again. Now, that means your next crop should be ultra rich. It should be the most fertile crop that you ever planted because you used the waste from this crop that you missed to fertilize your next harvest. That's if you miss this optimal window. Do you understand what I'm saying? The problem with a lot of businesses is you miss your harvest season. You should be harvesting, you should be reaping, and you're trying to oversow in soil that's ready to be harvested. You don't know what season you're in. And there's times you don't know when to sow. My granddaddy was a farmer. That's why I know that. Now, there's still time in this season. Harvest. If this is your season, harvest. Get out there and harvest if you've already sown. Now, you can't harvest what you haven't sown. And it isn't too late to plant a crop. You still have time to get it in, to make it in. What is the best advice for fourth quarter for this season? Fourth quarter, for government contractors, this is fourth quarter. For everybody else, this is third quarter. For government contractors, this is fourth quarter. What can a new business do? New businesses, let me tell you, you need to be sowing. This is your sowing season for new businesses. And I'm going to tell you what new businesses do. You try to sow and harvest at the same time. You cannot sow and harvest at the same time. Stop watching these TV shows that show people setting up a business on Monday and they millionaires on Tuesdays. It doesn't happen. Stop watching these TV shows where they start a business on Mondays and they millionaire on Fridays. Because in TV time, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are actually years, not days. Cut it out. You can't eat your seed and expect a harvest. So what every new business should do is create a plan. Well, I have a business plan. Business plans is for when you're trying to get funding. I'm going to go here. Business plans is not for just when you're trying to get funding. Business plan is for you to get organized. Get it out of your head. Good morning. I believe that's Daryl. Thank you for complimenting. Business plan gets it out of your head. Business plan is a way for you to solidify your pricing. Stop allowing people to tell you you don't need a business plan. If you don't have a budget, how do you know you're pricing your services right? How do you know you're pricing your merchandise right? You don't, because you haven't run your numbers. So the first thing every new business needs to do is get it out of your head. Get your business out of your head. Put it on paper. I have cardboard. I did it for my daughter for her shop. And I actually recorded it. I'm going to re-record it because the video quality stunk and I recorded it incorrectly. So I'm going to re-record it and put it in my contractors and place the recording in my contractors university. Step by step. Get it out of your head. That is so important so that you can fill in some blanks. And it helps you with pricing. People are talking about, I hate my business because I'm not making any money. You're not making any money because you never ran a budget. So you're selling a shirt for $10 that cost you $15 to make. Of course you're not making any money. You're selling a $10 shirt that cost you $15 because you're trying to compete with Temu. Temu can sell that shirt for $10 because Temu is only paying their labor force 80 cents. And note, for all of you government contractor wannabes who using overseas labor, you need to be careful of that because in your RFP, it tells you about using overseas labor. You can't do it in a lot of these contracts. There's a lot of contracts that tell you you cannot use overseas labor. And there are certain countries, there's a list of countries you cannot use at all. So for all of you who don't want to hire Americans because they cost too much, but you want to bid on a government contract, there's a list of countries you can't do business with. Pay attention to that. Secondly, what new businesses can do is watch what you feed yourself. It's not even restricted entities, it's restricted companies. There are countries. There are countries on terrorist watch lists. So if they're on the terrorist watch list, how are you doing business with them? I'm just saying, make it make sense. 2 plus 2 is always 4. And y'all trying to make 2 plus 2, 789. Anyway, new businesses, watch what you feed yourself. And this is something I've been in business for over 10 years, well over 10 years. That was before I formalized my business. So my business was formalized, EIN, name, and all that stuff for 12 years. but I was in business before that. People keep talking about imposter syndrome. Do you know I had a friend who didn't develop imposter syndrome until they started hearing about it? Be careful what you feed yourself. I have a mentor, not a coach, a mentor. He was saying in this season, we don't read for completion, we read for information. I have always been like that. I have books on my shelf I have never read cover to cover, but I keep the books because I go back to them for reference points. And I have followed coaches that I no longer follow who tell me you're supposed to read cover to cover. No, you read for information. Be careful what you feed yourself and be careful who you follow. I have a marketing coach for a reason. She's a marketing coach. I don't listen to her for nothing else but marketing. Point blank, period. I have a legal coach. I follow her for law. I don't listen to her for nothing else. That's my legal coach. I have a corporate coach. That's who I listen to for corporate advice. I don't listen to her for nothing else. My mentor is my mentor in business and consulting and spirituality. He tells me don't listen to him for nothing else. You see the difference? People are experts in their lanes. Follow them in their lanes and be mindful of what you're absorbing. I am an expert in my lane. I will tell you, don't listen to me about certain things because I'm not an expert in that. The problem most small businesses make is you listen to everybody about everything and they are not an expert in nothing. Because you're trying to be cheap and I'm stepping on toes and I don't care if you're offended, get over it. Because you can't be in business and be soft too. You can't do it, pick one. You want to be cheap about everything. And that will destroy your business faster than bad advice. Pick somebody, follow them, but you have to seek wise counsel. A marketing expert is who you're listening to for marketing. A PR expert is who you listen to for public relations. But you don't listen to a marketing person for public relations because a marketing person is not a public relations person. I learned that. I thought it was all the same thing. That's not. Public relations help you from making yourself look foolish. A marketing person positions you so somebody will purchase from you. Two different tasks, two different things. You should have an expert person that you go to for assistance in different realms in your business. You follow them until you can afford to hire them. And then once you hire them, don't just take their advice, implement it. I have fired clients because you want to tell me my job. PR is image consulting, preservation, and damage control. Thank you. PR takes your foot out of your throat. Bad grammar intended. Put clothes on. What are you talking about? I don't even know what that comment is supposed to mean. Have some respect. That's what public relations is. Marketing is to position you so that people will purchase from you. Selling is to position the product. You get what I'm talking about? Do you understand? So a marketing person is never the person who corrects the mistake or the error. That's what a lot of things new businesses do wrong. Yeah, hopefully that comment was because they didn't position the comment in a way that we were able to contextualize it. So I don't understand. I didn't understand the comment. So that's another thing new businesses doing correctly. It isn't the new business's fault a lot of time because they don't know. And it isn't taught. All they're taught is get an EIN, name your business, and run. It isn't taught. Good morning, Mo. And then they stumble and fumble, and then we have an 80% failure rate within the first 5 years, and of the 20% that make it past 5 years, 90% of the remaining of those 80 fail by year 10. We have to talk about this. But the biggest thing is understanding where you at. Another thing for fourth quarter is really doing the work that I talked about on day 4 of contracting and business week. Contacting those small business liaisons officers. And I have a client on the live which she's in my contractors battle program. And we identified the agencies who purchased within her NACE codes. She wasn't even aware of the agencies who actually purchased in her NACE codes. She even posted in the comments, she had a very eye-opening discovery about her business. Right? She wasn't even aware of the agencies who actually purchased her service. She was thinking one way, and it's actually another way. So that's something else new businesses need to be doing during this time. Your actual research. So before I close out, the first is Thursday. I'm having a Contractors Roundtable and we're discussing certifications. Does everybody want to talk about them? Let's talk about them. We're talking about the purpose, the role, a set aside versus a goal. So sign up for the roundtable because I'm not streaming this. You have to have the link in order to be in the round table. So sign up for the roundtable. It's going to be an enlightening conversation. Right? You had no idea how much money they spent and who was spending it. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another conversation. And you know what? I'll probably go live later on today. So be on the lookout for another live, probably tonight. So with that, keep in mind something. Keep this in mind. A stressed mind will never create. So when you're getting frustrated with whatever is going on in your business, there are times you have to walk away from what's causing your frustration. Do something else. and your answer is always in the piece. You'll find that the pieces fall together when you walk away from it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Luciana Turner, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.